What's up, guys? It's Jackson back here from iFlipPhones, back at you today with another video. Today, as you can tell in the title, I'm going to be going over how to properly inspect iPhones when buying them, so that way you don't lose money or buy anything for too high or you miss out on something during the buying process. I've definitely done it multiple times at the beginning, and so the purpose of this video is to hopefully give y'all some knowledge. That way y'all don't make the same mistakes I did at the beginning. And then I also am filming currently a whole day or a whole week of buying and selling Monday through Friday. I'm filming that currently right now. It's Wednesday, so it will be up Saturday after all of it's done. So I hope y'all stay tuned for that. That's why I'm kind of making these little impromptu videos in between. That way y'all have something to watch. And also I think this is just a good informational video. So we're going to start it off. And then if you haven't, go and join the free Discord link down below. It's my free community of resellers where we bounce ideas off each other. It's definitely a super good community. And it's strong and growing. I think we're almost at 130 members and we dropped it last week. And then everyone who is subbed on the YouTube, we're almost at 450 subs. I appreciate y'all so much. Nevertheless, let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing, whenever I'm going to be looking at a phone, whether I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace and or someone's messaging me off my ad, I'm looking at the model of the iPhone, the amount of gigs in it has, and then if it's the locked or unlocked status. That is the first three things I use to base my initial price on what I'm going to be offering this person. And I have a wholesale buyer price sheet, which I pretty much grab all my pricing from, which we offer in the Discord below. So if you want that, make sure to just go to the Discord below. But anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna get the I'm gonna get all that. And then after that, I'm going to ask them for the IMEI number. The IMEI number for a phone is basically like a VIN number for a phone. It's going to be the identification number of the phone, and it's going to be able to tell me whether it's unlocked, if it's blacklisted, if there's still money left out on it. You can get a lot of good things from the IMEI. Some people are weary about giving the IMEI over Marketplace or anything like that. That's kind of common. Sometimes you just have to go look it up in person. But if it's a super far drive, I usually tell them, hey, I'm not going to drive that far if I cannot confirm the status of unlocked or not before driving over there. But so whenever getting the phone, you just go all the way to the bottom right here. You just go to General or Settings, General, About Phone, and then scroll to the bottom. It's going to have the IMEI number of the phone. With that, I will be able to look up the IMEI number through SIGW. That's the current IMEI checker I use. I know that there's a couple other ones that you are free or they're a little bit free. I personally pay for SIGW and I enjoy it, but use whatever IMEI checker you use. So yeah, you're going to run the IMEI, and I'll show you how I run this IMEI right now. Okay, so here's how we do it. Right now we are on SIGW. It's SICKW. So I'm going to go down to Apple Basic Info. I'm going to copy and paste the IMEI number. And I'm going to run the report. As you can see, it's running right now. And then this screen is going to pop up. So it's going to show you right there the phone at the top, iPhone 11 white, 256 gig, which is this one right here. It's going to tell you that the iCloud is off, which is what we need, and then at the bottom it's going to tell you that it's unlocked. So right there, even before meeting up with someone, I already have a pretty good idea of what the phone is and how much I'm going to offer for it. So usually at that point, I'm going to send the offer and schedule a meetup time. Now this is the important part, is see, whenever we get to the meetup, we're going to need to confirm that all that info is correct and that the IMEI number that they gave us is the one matching the phone that they're trying to sell us. Not only that, we're going to need to see if there's service messages. I'm telling you though, 9 times out of 10, whenever you go meet up with someone to buy a phone, it is not going to be at this screen where you can go up and go through the settings. It's going to be at the factory reset screen. A lot of people think that you can't set up the phone without adding an iCloud to it, and that simply isn't true. That's why most people, whenever they sell you the phone, it's going to be at the factory reset screen. But at that screen, we will not be able to check and see if there's any issues with the phone, so it's important that we set it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factory reset this phone, and I'm going to show you how to set it up while you're there. Okay, and while this phone is factory resetting, I want to go over the 4 gradings that you're going to use when grading an iPhone that pretty much all wholesale buyers are going to use But you got A, B, C, and D grading. A grading is literally basically sealed in the box, never used. Never grade anything as grade A unless it is sealed in the box. I don't care what anyone posts in their description. Oh, this thing is like new. There's no like new. It's either new or used. It's either or. So never grade anything as grade A unless it's basically sealed in the box and never used. Well, majority of phones that you're going to buy is going to be grade B. Grade B is going to be like this: a used phone, pretty minimal wear, usual wear to it, like no heavy scratching on the screen. Like you can have a couple scratches, it's all good, but no heavy scratching, no cracks. There's no service errors or anything like that. Grade C is going to tend to be if the screen is cracked. If the screen is cracked, that's going to be grade C. But the LCD is still good, so there's no discoloration or dots. That's going to be grade C. Or if the battery is degraded or anything like that, that's going to be grade C. And then you got grade D, which is generally going to be a mixture of problems. If it's cracked on the front and the back, the LCD's bad, all that. So that's going to be grade D and below. So you kind of just want to grade accordingly when getting it. And then there's different deductions if there's other services messages out and stuff like that. But anyways, so 9 times out of 10, when you go to buy a phone, it's going to be at this screen right here. It's going to be at the reset screen right here. And don't get me wrong, you can get the IMEI number from this screen. All you have to do is click that little eye icon, and it can give you, and you can make sure that the IMEI matches the one that they gave us. But you're not going to be able to see all the service messages and stuff like that, or if the battery's degraded. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set this up. I usually meet people at some sort of place with Wi-Fi, like a Starbucks. That way I can use their Wi-Fi to set it up, or I can just use my personal hotspot on my phone. So what we do is we go here, English, United States, continue, set up without another device. It's going to be looking for the Wi-Fi. I'm going to put my Wi-Fi in here. So you're going to put your Wi-Fi in, and it's going to bring up this screen. The reason why I like going places where I can use their Wi-Fi is because it boots up a lot quicker for me personally if I'm using Wi-Fi. If I'm using my personal hotspot, getting past this screen has taken sometimes 5 to 10 minutes. Boom, you see we're already past it. So we're going to click continue, set it for myself. It's going to ask for the Face ID. We're going to set that up later in settings. It's going to ask for a passcode. We're going to click passcode options. Don't use passcode. Then it's going to confirm it. We're going to click don't use passcode again. This is the part where people usually get stuck at. So it's going to say transfer your apps and data. We're going to say don't transfer, and it's going to ask for the iCloud. This is why people don't set it up, because they think that they have to enter their iCloud to get past this. All you have to do is click forgot password, and then it'll prompt you right here to set up later in settings, and we just click don't use. We're past the screen. We agree to it. Continue. Not now. Set up later in settings, set up later in settings, set up later in settings, don't share, continue, and we're in. Now we're able to go through the settings and see if there's anything wrong with the phone. Okay, so very first thing that I'm going to do whenever going into a phone and inspecting it is I'm going to go to the settings immediately. So I'm going to go to settings, general. So say I'm buying a phone that's unlocked, right? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to general, about, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to make sure it says no SIM restrictions right there. That is saying that it's unlocked. If it is locked, it's going to say SIM lock. So that's the first thing I'm going to do when running it. And then I'm going to go back up and then make sure that there is no service messages on this same page right here. I'm going to make sure that there's no service messages saying that there's anything else. So what we're going to do is I'm going to switch to a phone that that has a service message. Okay, cool. So right here, guys, you see right there below the info, it has the service message right here, and it says battery service. So if you click that, go to battery, click that, and then click battery health and charging. It's going to give you a warning message, and it's going to tell you that the max capacity on this battery is 76%, which means it needs to be replaced. Once that number drops below 80%, it's going to trigger that service message. And I can tell you guys that pretty much anything iPhone 12 and below is going to need a battery replace just because of how old it is. And a lot of people don't realize that. You'll ask them, is the battery good, maybe before messaging them, and they're like, oh yeah, it's great, because they don't know necessarily about the service message and stuff like like that. So that's the first thing that's the second thing I look for after making sure it's unlocked. I go right here and I'm going to see if there's any service messages. This area is also going to tell you if the Face ID is out or if the phone has been repaired at all, even if it's with genuine parts or not. So if this phone has been repaired, it's going to say if this phone's battery got replaced and it's a genuine Apple part, it's going to say repaired, genuine Apple part. And then if it was repaired with a non-OEM part, aka a Chinese battery or Chinese screen or Chinese camera, it's going to say unknown part. And it's important to decrease the value if it's going to be a non-OEM part, because the non-OEM parts are cheaper, right? So say I replace this screen with a non-OEM, I break this screen, say I replace it with a non-OEM Chinese screen. The non-OEM Chinese screen is not going to have True Tone capability for one. It's not going to have True Tone capability. The coloration is going to be a little bit off. It's going to be a little bit thicker than the usual iPhone screen. And not only that, but because the coloring is a little bit off, it is actually going to kill your battery. Your battery is going to work harder to keep up with it, right? So it's going to kill your battery. So in the long run, it's not going to be good. So it's always important to degrade if you're going to see service messages of non-OEM parts, right? But that is the second thing I do, is that where I go here and I check to make sure that there's no service messages, right? The next thing I do, say that there's no service message, I still want to check the battery health and see if it's just getting too low, right? So if it doesn't have a service message, but I still want to check the battery, I'm going to go to the main general page, right? I'm going to scroll down to battery, go to the battery health and charging. So this one right here, if you can tell, this one is at 81%. So basically one more percent and we're going to hit that message, right? The wholesale buyers are still going to grade this as grade B if it's 80 and above. So if you're getting it and you're just sending it right off to them, just something to take in mind. But this battery is getting super close to being replaced, right? So after we check the battery health and then the service messages, we're going to make sure that they're all genuine parts and stuff like that, and grade accordingly. Then we're going to check the speakers and make sure that the speakers are good. Generally with the older phones like the iPhone 11, iPhone 8 and stuff like that, the XR, the earpiece speaker tends to go out pretty easily. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the settings, same page, and then we're going to go to sound. We're going to go to sound right here. And then we're going to go to ringtone, and then we're just going to play it, right? That way we can make sure the sound works. This ear speaker sounds fine to me. Basically what you want to be looking for, if there is one that is out, it'll kind of sound like the phone's underwater. Like it'll sound really congested and it's just bad. And usually for these, I mean, it's an easy fix. It's like a $30 deduction, but I definitely wouldn't want to come out of pocket for that. So I usually show it to them. Hey, do you hear that this speaker's broken? Can we go lower on that 20 to 30 bucks? That way it's good for both parties. So after that, we're going to make sure that the Face ID works, right? So same page, we're going to go over here, settings, Face ID, set up Face ID, and we're going to click get started, and then we're going to put it on our face and do the whole rhythm, you know what I mean? And look, first Face ID scan is complete. I'm going to go ahead and cancel and not put my Face ID on this one, but that is how you check to make sure that the Face ID is working. But I can tell you guys, you really don't have to do that, because if the Face ID doesn't work, there's gonna be a service message in the settings where I showed you, the same place where the battery was. But it's always good just to double check, just to make sure, right? After that, we're gonna have the charging port. Make sure that the charging port works. For this, man, I usually always bring a charger or some sort of portable charger just to plug it in real quick. Because if the charger port is broken, it's definitely an inconvenience, and you will have to fix that if you want to sell it. And then after that, you basically just want to check all the cameras. So you just go to here, and then just check the different zooms in and out. You know what I mean? Making sure that there's no dust or anything like that in the camera. I would go through the settings and make sure that all the regular amenities like portrait mode, cinematic mode are all there, and stuff like that. So if, say, and this is back to the non-OEM parts and why it's not good to use those. So if you replace, say a camera breaks and you replace it with a non-OEM Apple camera, there's going to be certain modes like the cinematic mode that it's not going to be able to use. Not the biggest deal, not everyone uses it, but I've definitely had non-OEM cameras and I go to sell the phone and they're like, oh, this doesn't have the cinematic mode, and they don't take it. And I've definitely had it other ways where people are like, I don't care, we don't use cinematic mode, but it's just something to take into consideration. And then whenever you're at the deal, you know what I mean, you can adjust accordingly for that, you know what I mean. And then really after that, man, is just making sure that the phone is in good condition, you know what I mean, making sure that the screen has like no super heavy scratches. And whenever I say heavy scratches, it's either like a bunch or like those scratches where like if you run your nail across it and your nail kind of gets stuck in the scratch, that's going to be a super heavy scratch. Making sure that there's no cracks on the backs and stuff like that. Like I can tell you, like this phone right here, I don't know if you can see it, but this one has a little nick in the corner, and the scratching is pretty heavy, but the LCD itself is in good condition. So this one would be a grade C phone versus this one that has some scratching, but there's no nick, and it's pretty minimal scratching. It's going to be considered grade B. But yeah, man, all in all, it's pretty easy. Like once you start doing this a couple times, it's going to be second nature. And I'm telling you, whenever I go buy phones, if the phone is set up to the home screen and I don't have to boot it up, the meetup can literally take me 30 seconds. Like I'm so quick with looking and making sure and just making sure everything is on the par. And I like doing that, man, because I also know that people like to get in and out too. I don't really like to take people's time up. But yeah, it's a super easy thing, and then once y'all do this a couple times, y'all start to get the hang of it, man. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I said, I will be dropping a buying and selling video, full week of buying and selling Saturday. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe what y'all want to see more of. Go join the free Discord chat. Come make some money with us. Come see some new tricks. It'll be great. I'll catch you on the next one.